Welcome, everyone, to Candidates Night. I want to thank the candidates and the volunteers. This program is being broadcast live and recorded. It will be rebroadcast on local access channels Charter 191 and Verizon 33. It will also be on their website, video on demand, graftontv.org. We do not allow others to record this event to prevent possible editing of the proceedings. The link will also be available on our Facebook page as well. Let me introduce to you now our moderator, Beth McCullum. She is a Shrewsbury resident, and she will take over from here. Thank you.
Thank you, Ann. I'd like to remind everyone of our nonpartisanship policy here at the League of Women Voters. The League is a nonpartisan volunteer organization that works to promote political responsibility through informed and active participation of citizens in government. The League does not support or oppose any political party or candidate. However, it does support or oppose legislation after study and consensus agreement above its members. We're going to begin this evening by inviting those candidates who are running unopposed to make a brief statement if they would like to. We're going to begin with library trustees. There are 2 3-year terms. The only individual we have listed is Rachel Catherine Tosches, and in case I'm saying her last name incorrectly, I'm going to spell it. It's Tosches. And if Rachel is here this evening, I'd like to invite her up to make a brief statement. Not seeing Rachel, we're going to move on to candidates for the planning board. Again, this is 2 3-year terms for the planning boards. We have incumbent David Robbins. Is David here with us this evening? David is not here, so I'd like to invite Gregory Dolly Mole, if Gregory is with us this evening. Gregory is not here. We're going to move on to Housing Authority. Lisa Kelly is an incumbent for 1 5-year term. I don't believe that Lisa is able to join us this evening, so I'm going to read a statement on her behalf. This was submitted on April 22nd, and Lisa says, "Good evening, and thank you to the League of Women Voters for hosting this event. My name is Lisa Kelly, and I'm asking for your vote on May 20th for my 3rd 5-year term on the Grafton Housing Authority. Most know me from my employment with the town of Grafton at the Council on Aging, also known as the Grafton Senior Center. I've enjoyed 15 years there as the outreach coordinator, where I assist seniors financially, connect them with resources, promote the center's services, and more. I consider myself extremely lucky to be able to both work and volunteer in areas that I am most passionate about, seniors and housing. If you have any questions, concerns, or interest in who I am, please call or email me at 617-852-9707. Email is lisabkelley@gmail.com. Thank you, Lisa Kelly. Next up, we have 2 3-year terms available on the school committee. I believe that Stella Varela Stikas is here with us. Stella, if you're available and would like to come up and make a brief statement, we welcome you.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity in providing this platform to present my candidacy for the open seat on the Grafton School Committee. It's truly an honor to share my background, vision, and dedication to serving our town. For those who may not know me, my family has lived in Grafton since 2012, the year our oldest son was born. My husband Ross and I have 2 boys, ages 9 and 12. I've been a dedicated school volunteer since my oldest started kindergarten. Currently, I serve as the co-secretary of the North Grafton PTG and secretary for the Grafton CPAC. I have played an active role in organizing school fundraisers such as the Fun Run, Waddle's Winter Wonderland, and Fun Fair, among others. I have proudly served as an editor and advisor for the yearbook since 2020. Through my efforts, students have enjoyed various field trips, including visits to the Southwick Zoo, Boston Freedom Trail, and Broadmeadow Brook. Students also benefit from enrichment programs brought directly into the classroom. I've been a proud advocate for special education community, working to promote inclusion for every child. Since 2021, I've had the honor of celebrating our incredible teachers and staff through our Everyday Hero Awards ceremony. This event, planned annually by the board and myself, has become a cherished highlight of our year. I'm excited to begin this journey and be a strong voice for all of Grafton students. When elected, I'll be a dedicated champion for all your child's education at the Grafton Public Schools. I'm excited to begin this journey and being a strong advocate for all our students. I ask for your vote on May 20th for the Grafton School Committee. Any questions, you can reach me at stellaforgsc@gmail.com. And then my website is tinyurl/StellaGSC. Thank you.
Thank you, Stella. Thanks so much to Stella. We have a second candidate for school committee. It is incumbent Leora Bram. Leora was not able to join us this evening, so I'm going to read a brief statement on her behalf. My name is Leora Bram, and I am running for re-election to the Grafton School Committee. I'm very sorry to have to miss tonight's event and want to thank the League of Women Voters for giving candidates this opportunity, and most importantly, giving voters the chance to hear directly from the folks running for office. When I first ran 3 years ago, my passion and focus were inclusive schools and college and career readiness. These areas are more important than ever. We've built school communities that for the most part are welcoming and have a place for all students and families, regardless of family circumstance, abilities, gender or sexual identity, religion or race. But we can always do better, and we should continue to progress in this area, especially in the current climate. Likewise, preparing our students for their next steps after they leave the Grafton Public Schools is more important than ever. Ensuring their emotional health and resilience, as well as their academic achievement, is of critical importance. As a former chair of Grafton's CPAC and a 25-plus year marketing executive and agency owner who has been hiring and mentoring young professionals for 20 years, I know how to build inclusive communities, how to work with and motivate different people, and what employers are looking for in terms of the soft interpersonal skills that make employees successful. And over the past 3 years as a member, clerk, and most recently this year as vice chair, I have contributed to our continual efforts in these areas and others as the CPAC School Committee liaison and member of various subcommittees and town committees, including policy, budget, TRICOM, and the Capital Improvement Planning Committee. Next year, we'll present our school district with significant challenges. We're facing a devastating budget shortfall, and our public servants must be honest about our needs and creative about solutions while maintaining our commitment to being equitable and giving our students every opportunity. I look forward to contributing to this effort, and I ask for your vote so I can continue to work with my colleagues on the school committee to give our students the tools they need to be successful in the Grafton Public Schools and beyond. Thank you. Before we get into the candidates for the select board, which is an opposed race, we have 3 candidates for 2 3-year terms. I do want to let folks know who are watching that attendees have submitted written questions for the candidates. All of these questions may not be asked. We do retain the right to combine or consolidate similar questions. We're going to take about 30 to 40 minutes for candidates to answer questions, depending on the number of questions and how long the answers take. Each candidate is invited to give a 3-minute opening statement. For each written question, they'll have 1.5 minutes to answer. Any candidate that would like to offer a 30-second rebuttal can request that. And then all candidates will again have an opportunity to provide a 1-minute closing statement. One candidate An incumbent member, Anne Marie Foley, is not able to be here with us tonight. So I am going to read Anne Marie's statement. Then I'm going to invite Andrew Jefferson, incumbent candidate, and Colleen McIntyre Roy to give their statements opening. Andrew will go first, and then Colleen will go first to present her closing statement. They will alternate questions, including one question that was given to candidates in advance of the meeting from the League of Women Voters, which I'll read before we provide the answers. So if Andrew and Colleen are here and would like to come up, they're welcome to join me, or you can wait until I read Anne Marie Foley's statement and come up then. Okay. All right, so again, this is a statement for candidate for Select Board Anne Marie Foley, who is an incumbent. Good evening. Thank you to the League of Women Voters and GCTV for their work on this event. I've attended these candidate nights for many years, and I am so disappointed to be unable to attend this year. I'm celebrating a milestone birthday this weekend, reaching the age of 60. I planned a trip back in the late fall with flights, accommodations, etc. I reached out as soon as I pulled papers in early February to inquire as to the date of this event and was told it was this evening. It's with deep regret that I'm unable to attend. I'm excited to be running for a seat on the Select Board for a second term. I have thoroughly enjoyed my first term, and I still have work to do and would like to capitalize on the momentum I have gained over the past 3 years. This past year I served as the chair of the board, and I navigated some contentious topics with a steady hand, objectivity, and always with an eye towards what would be in the best interest of the town. I welcomed input from residents and board members at every opportunity. I demonstrated to the Grafton taxpayer that their select board is working together in a constructive manner to move our town forward in all areas. Over the past 3 years, I have met with as many department heads as I could to learn about their departments and the challenges they face in serving the residents of Grafton. I speak to residents almost daily on a wide range of topics, everything from issues with water, recycling, potholes, graffiti, housing, and air quality. I listen intently, offer what information I have, and direct residents appropriately. I consistently follow up on every issue that is brought to my attention. I've met with our state representative and state senator to discuss our town and to advocate for us. I consistently attend multiple board and committee meetings each week, as well as attending community events to support local nonprofits, special interest groups, and businesses. I have demonstrated my leadership and communication skills while serving on a wide variety of boards and committees. I served on the Grafton Recreation Commission for 10 years, including as chair. I created the Fields Coalition Group, which resulted in the field and park that is located off Providence Road. I guided the skate park building committee, resulting in a hugely utilized skate park. I served on the Super Park Renovation Committee. More recently, I served on the ARPA committee, as vice chair in the Open Space and Recreation Committee. Currently, I sit on the Trustees of Soldiers and Sailors Committee and the Master Plan Committee. I have served as the president of the Central Chapter of the American Physical Therapy Association, and I currently serve as vice president of a large condominium association, having previously served as president. Other town activities have included chairing PTGs, treasurer of Boy Scout Troop 107, as well as founding and chairing the Sustainable Grafton Group, which has a Facebook following of 799 people and a committee of approximately 15. I have been a physical therapist for almost 37 years, and I continue to own a practice that serves approximately 750 individuals, 22 and older, with intellectual and physical disabilities. I have been a 33-year resident of the town of Grafton and have always been engaged in the community. I look forward to continuing my work for the town. I wish all of the candidates the best of luck, and I humbly ask for your vote on May 20th. As I mentioned, one question was provided to the candidates for Select Board in advance of tonight's forum. I'm going to read that question, then I'm going to read Anne Marie Foley's response, then I'll introduce our other two candidates. I'm sorry, we're gonna have their opening statements first, then I'll read Anne Marie's statement. Right now, I'd like to introduce incumbent candidate Andrew Jefferson and Colleen McIntyre
That's
Roy.
my middle name. We're just Colleen Roy.
Okay, all right, and Colleen Roy. So, Andrew, if you would like to make your opening statement first, that would be fantastic, and then Colleen, you'll have the opportunity to provide the first closing statement.
Thank you very much. So, hi everybody. For those of you who may not know, I'm Andy Jefferson. My wife Jen and I have lived in Grafton for 20 years now. She's currently serves as a paraprofessional at Millbury Street Elementary School. I'm a graphic designer who works for a marketing and PR agency. Our oldest is a sophomore at Grafton High School. Our youngest is a freshman at Blackstone Valley Tech. I think, like everybody here, we were drawn to Grafton for similar reasons. It's its charm, great schools, and conveniences. I currently serve as the vice chair of the select board. I previously served on the town's finance committee. Between both of those groups, I've been able to serve as a representative to the Affordable Housing Trust, the Library Building and Planning Committee, as well as the Bylaw Review Committee. I think the board has been productive over the last 3 years. A couple of the projects that I'm most proud of are our support for the Regional Emergency Communications Center and the George Hill repaving project. Both are critical for our residents' needs. I've worked hard with the Grafton Water District a few years ago at first to try and locate an appropriate site for a water treatment plant, and more recently to try and help amplify their communications and get more of their messaging out to residents so people can better understand their water issues. I've been a supporter of affordable housing throughout that time. And was able to assist in getting Grafton its first menorah for the common for holiday celebrations. Grafton continues to grow and will continue to face challenges and an abundance of work. We need to continue to strive to maintain that proper balance. We're definitely going to be facing some difficult budget discussions and decisions next year, and they will need to be faced early and transparently. I am prepared for that challenge, and it would be my privilege to serve you another term. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Colleen, your opening statement, please.
I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters, GCTV, all the residents who took the time to come out tonight, and those watching at home later. I'm Colleen Roy. I'm running for Select Board because Grafton can't afford to fumble forward fiscally next year. Last year, we knew the schools had used $1.2 million of one-time money with no plan to restore those revolving accounts. We knew this was coming. Year after year, we've been shown dwindling levy capacity. We knew this was coming. At last year's League of Women Voters debate, the candidates were asked, would they support an override this year? Because we knew this was coming. In the fall, the schools started their budget process early. They sounded the alarm, they raised the red flag, and the select board chair did not prioritize starting the budget process early. And it ended with, there's not enough time. There's not enough time to ask the questions we want to ask. There's not enough time to advocate for an override. There's not enough time to put a question on the ballot and give residents a choice. We knew this was coming, and it ended with, there's not enough time. Well, we know what's coming next year, and I have a plan. I have a plan to advocate for the budget process all year round. I have a plan to advocate for outreach meetings so residents can ask questions and voice their concerns. I have a plan to create a property tax exemption for seniors who most are in need when the overrides do come to pass. We know what's coming next year, and I have a plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Colleen. Now we're going to move on to the question that was provided to the candidates in advance of tonight's forum. I'll read the question first. Again, Anne Marie Foley, an incumbent candidate, was not able to be here. She did provide an answer. Then I'll ask Andrew to respond, and then Colleen, you each have an opportunity to rebut, and then we'll alternate questions, and regardless of how we finish, Colleen, you'll do the first opening statement, or closing statement. Okay. So the question that was provided to the candidates for Select Board from the League of Women Voters was, please explain the role you believe the town government should or should not play in preparing for possible extreme weather events. So this is Anne Marie Foley's response to that question. Anne Marie wrote, the town most certainly needs to play a significant role in emergency preparedness including preparing for possible extreme weather. In 2016, Governor Baker signed an executive order mandating that the Commonwealth support climate resiliency programs. To that end, Grafton participated in a municipal vulnerability preparedness program in 2018. In 2019, I served as an independent consultant for the Town of Sutton's Community Resiliency Building Workshop. I'm all too aware of the potential hazards we currently have that could be intensified by climate change, as this is an area I have studied at length. Threats we face in Grafton include stormwater, flooding, winter storms, droughts, and wildfires, to name a few. The town has been working to implement findings from the MVP workshop, and I will continue to support all such efforts. So obviously Anne Marie wouldn't be here to answer a rebuttal, but would either of you like to rebut that statement? Okay. All right. Then I'd like to move on to Andrew for your response to that question, and I'm happy to repeat it if you'd like.
I'm all set, thank you.
Okay.
So Anne Marie covered that topic pretty extensively. I would also similarly point out that we do have an emergency management committee that is tasked with preparing and planning and running through scenarios. We do have commitments to the state in order to accomplish certain sustainability goals. I think the town has generally been proactive in its building and sustainability habits. For example, the library extension, we went for LEED Silver certification. We did try for gold. I shouldn't say we aimed for silver, but we made silver, which requires a very strict set of sustainability criteria. We're currently maxed out on our solar infrastructure. We installed EV chargers at the library and then here at the municipal center, and we've kind of pledged a move to hybrid fleet vehicles on our way to a full electric fleet. So, I think local government does have a role in preparing for extreme weather events. But there are also other agencies that we, state and federal level that we need to defer to on that. So I think it's something that Grafton is aware of and preparing for.
Thank you. Rebuttal or response?
No rebuttal.
Okay. All right, then
Go
your
right
answer.
into my response.
Yep.
So local government does play a critical role when it comes to extreme weather events. Most among them being continuity of services. We want to make sure our public safety is ready and available in the event of an emergency. Grafton has many tools in the toolbox to deploy, including Reverse 911 and Code Red, which can isolate messages to impacted residents in an extreme weather event. Grafton took place in the municipality vulnerability preparedness program, not an easy one to say, which highlights vulnerabilities, challenges, and concerns, and also gives recommendations for each of them. Grafton is also part of the Medical Reserve Corps, which is a group of volunteers trained to respond as support staff in the event of an emergency. Due to the limited time tonight, I couldn't list all of the ways Grafton prepares for extreme weather events, and instead I'd like to thank all of our employees and volunteers who train throughout the year to be prepared for such an event. It's tireless work to remain that vigilant, and I really thank you for all your commitment you have towards Grafton.
Thank you. Any response? Okay. Colleen, I'm going to ask you to respond first to the first question from the folks that are present here tonight. Question is multi-part, and it's about sidewalks. Questions are, where are the results from the state about the sidewalk committee? Where are the new sidewalks to be put in? And will there be more sidewalks around the center? And I'm happy to repeat that if you'd like.
Okay.
Where are the results from the state about the sidewalk committee? Where are the new sidewalks to be put in? Will there be more sidewalks around the center?
Okay.
And you can take a moment.
Yeah. So the results from the sidewalk committee, I don't know off the top of my head. I can tell you it's most likely on the town website, but I can also tell you if you really want to know where it is, I could find it for you, and I can look for you, and I can get that sent out to you, pretty quickly. But off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you exactly where it is. But the town website is extremely useful and has a lot of knowledge on there. As far as new sidewalks, we're still in the process of finishing Millbury Street and North Street, as anybody who drives on those streets can see. That should be picking up soon now that the weather has turned off, but we did have some rain. And then In the center, I suppose there are going to be some new ones because of the 140 project that's coming in. So we've seen some prepared sidewalks happening there as well.
All set? Yes. Okay. And Andrew, please just let me know if it's a rebuttal versus a response.
Just a response, please.
Okay.
Excuse me. So trying to attack this answer in segments. I'm not sure that we've reached out to the state in terms of a sidewalk committee. What we have done recently is hearing that feedback from residents that sidewalks are vital to our walking infrastructure. We recently tasked our DPW with working them into our asphalt management plan, which is how we currently treat our roadways. So we'll be looking to, continue to expand and maintain our existing sidewalk infrastructure. Whenever we do any new development, any new buildings, anything like that, sidewalks are a requirement. It's something that we try and build out over time so that we can connect them a little bit easier in the future as we move forward. Again, I would assume there will be more sidewalks around the common. The 1727 Upton Street project includes some that connect all the way up to that point. And we're going through the Grafton Common traffic study as we speak, and depending on how that layout goes, I would expect to see an increase in sidewalks around the common. Walkability was something that was heavily stressed during that presentation.
Thank you. Any response?
Great job.
Thanks.
All right. So Andrew, you'll have the opportunity to respond to this question first. We have several questions about the budget. I'm going to try to make sure we hit a variety of topics. So, we'll continue to ask them time permitting. But first question regarding budget for the select board candidates. Are you in favor of waiving permitting fees to builders when we could be considering in future years having to charge school athletic and activity fees? How do we make such trade-offs? And I'm going to read it again. Are you in favor of waiving permitting fees to builders when we could be considering in future years having to charge school athletic and activity fees? How do we make such trade-offs?
And I get to go first on this one.
You get to go first on this one.
All right. There was a time where I was more favorable to the idea of permitting relief to builders and contractors. I still think to a degree that relies on the scope of the project and its impact. But as the question kind of states, it's difficult to advocate for those things when we're facing our own budgetary shortfalls. We realize that these can be stumbling blocks for developers trying to get projects done. However, we do have to watch out for Grafton in that regard. One of the, I think, more interesting trade-offs that we've done recently with the 1727 Upton project, while we've proposed a permitting reduction, instead of those fees going back to the developer, they still pay the full fee, but a percentage of them would go back to the Affordable Housing Trust in an effort to replenish their funding and further our advances for affordable housing. So I think we have some creative workarounds that we use with that, but I generally approach them on a case-by-case basis.
Okay. Response to rebuttal?
I'll go right into my response.
Okay.
And I would agree with what Andy was saying, that waiving permitting fees would really have to be taken on a project-by-project basis. If the project's going to, say, increase from 10 to 25% affordability, if we waive the fees, that's a very interesting conversation I'd be looking to have. But if they're just asking for relief of permit fees and Grafton's not really getting anything, I'm not entirely sure I support that idea. As far as athletic fees go, the school committee does a great presentation on that whenever we're facing a deficit, and they show that it's not going to collect the amount of money for the amount of, it's not that it won't collect money, because it will, but the amount of money in the pinch it puts on families isn't really going to change our deficit. It's not going to move the needle in a significant way, and the school committee is very adamant about not really charging athletic fees. And I don't think it's a fair comparison to compare a building fee to an athletic fee. It's just not the same fee.
Okay. Rebuttal?
Not this time. Thank you.
Okay. Please just indicate to me if you would like to make a rebuttal. Otherwise, if it's okay going forward, we'll just assume it's a response. So for the next question, Colleen, I'm going to ask you to respond first.
Okay.
I'll read it a couple of different times. This question is regarding healthcare costs for Grafton employees. Question is, what can be done to make Grafton more fiscally responsible with healthcare costs? What can be done to make Grafton more fiscally responsible with healthcare costs?
So prioritizing health is a great way. And I know in a lot of private businesses, they do competitions for, let's say even weight loss, not to say that anybody needs to lose weight. But if you can prove that the employees that you're providing health care to are healthy, you're going to see a discount. Other ways to do that is potentially building a gym within the municipal center for employees to access and, create a healthy workforce. We are providing outdoor exercise equipment that'll be outside the senior center for everybody to use, again, creating a healthy workforce. And if you have a healthy workforce, you should be able to see reduced healthcare costs.
That's it.
All set.
Thank you. Andrew?
That was a great answer, and in a direction I probably wouldn't have taken it, but it is very factually accurate that even once a person hits the pre-diabetic stage, our insurance costs go up by about $10,000. So if we can install, a facility for municipal staff to have access to exercise equipment, we can seek to, potentially reduce some of the costs right there. The select board also had to vote to withdraw from our current health alliance this year. Our town administrator aggressively shops for health insurance packages. The withdrawal from the health alliance was just it didn't preclude us from dropping them in the coming year of service, but it did give us the option to opt out if we needed to, and should we have found better rates. Like I said, that is something that we do shop aggressively because the costs continue to increase by so much every year. And I actually think Grafton was fortunate that we only saw a 10% increase compared to what some of the other municipalities around us have seen.
All right. Next question is about your general experience for the role. Andrew, I'm going to ask you to answer first. Question from the audience is, what experience makes you one of the 2 best candidates for Select Board in 2025? What experience makes you one of the 2 best candidates for Select Board in 2025?
To me, this is the worst part of campaigning. I really don't enjoy talking about myself. I much prefer having conversations about the issues and whatnot. But if you want to know about me, my experience on the finance committee was invaluable. You get access to every level of every single line of the budget that is presented. I learned a great deal, not just about the budget, but the town functionality and leadership too. I think we have some amazing members on that committee. I personally think communication tends to be one of my better assets. I try to listen thoughtfully and with empathy and present people with as many facts and answers to questions as I possibly can, or direct them in the appropriate direction. So for me, it'd be communication.
Is that?
Can you just read it one more time to make sure?
Absolutely. So this was a question about general experience. And the question is, what experience makes you one of the 2 best candidates for Select Board in 2025?
So I'm going to agree with Andy in that FinCom is an invaluable experience that I think all Select Board members should serve on, and I had the pleasure of doing that before I was first elected to the Select Board in 2020. I'm currently the Vice Chair of the Master Plan Committee. I'm the Vice Chair of CPC. I'm the Vice Chair of the Affordable Housing Trust, and I just became Chair of the Cable Advisory Committee. I chaired the Fire Chief Search Committee that helped land us Chief Matthews. I chaired CIPC for countless years, I don't remember. I have a very extensive municipal resume. I've also attended every Select Board meeting for the last 6 years in person, so I really, really know what's going on there. I also attend meetings in other towns, which helps inspire me and bring good ideas to Grafton, and maybe also watch out for pitfalls to not bring to Grafton. I truly love everything about municipal government, and I love helping people find answers. Like, I have find sidewalk committee results that I plan to post on my select board page tomorrow if I can find it that quickly, because I think it's really important to answer the questions residents have. Thank you.
Okay. So, Colleen, you'll be the first respondent to the next question.
Yes, we can go home now.
Oh. This is a question about density. So, multi-part again. How much more density, and then in parentheses, it's noted 4-story buildings, can Grafton support? And do you like the direction the town is taking with population growth? How much more density, 4-story buildings, can Grafton support? And do you like the direction the town is taking with population growth?
So Massachusetts is in the middle of a housing crisis. There just aren't enough homes for the amount of people that are here. And Grafton has really taken charge of that situation, and they're working really diligently to increase our affordable housing stock. And I was just at an Affordable Housing Trust meeting where a representative who's working on a project for 25 Worcester Street, commended us for the work we're doing, and he's even hearing it at the state level, that Grafton is on people's radar for doing the right thing and doing it the right way. So I think Grafton should be applauded for how we're handling the housing crisis, and we're doing our best to stay in safe harbor, which means we get to be in the driver's seat when it comes to how much density and where projects are going to go. If we start saying no to projects, we're going to get out of that safe harbor status, which then will allow even bigger and denser projects to come in with very little input from the town. So I'm very happy with how Grafton is growing, and I look forward to seeing some of these projects come to fruition.
Thank you, Colleen. Andrew.
Thank you. I guess I would start by correcting the 4-story note there, that we do currently limit heights to, I think it's 35 feet or 3 stories, so they generally tend to be under that. It's tough to say how much more dense growth we can support here, and I think there's still definitely room for more. I understand people's concern. It does seem like these projects come in quickly, and if you're not watching meetings every week, the updates can seem few and far between. But in going back and reviewing some of the discussions from 3 years ago as I was first running for office, of a handful of projects that we had, 2 to 3 of them are now actually starting to come to fruition 3 years later. So, we do our best to keep a lot of irons in the fire in the hopes that one of them will pan out into an actual project that does benefit our housing stock. We work very hard to increase our affordability numbers and really maximize our affordable unit counts. I think we really approach our affordable growth strategically. I just train left without me, but yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Thank you. Andrew, you'll be the first respondent to our next question, which is about water.
Oh, it's gonna nail this one.
So, question is, with town water in jeopardy, should large developments be zoned near water sources? With town water in jeopardy, should large developments be zoned near water sources?
I would start by, I guess, backing off the idea that town water is in jeopardy. We certainly have some water quality issues right now, but the other issue we tend to hear with the housing density is, again, it goes to water. We don't have a capacity issue. That's not our problem. Right now, it's a quality issue. It's something that we are working to correct with treatment facilities and whatnot. I don't believe we need to exclude dense housing any more than we would exclude traditional single-family housing, and as it pertains to its placement near our wellheads. only because we have some very stringent zoning in place, and state requirements as well probably federal, that we're required to abide by as it pertains to wellheads and wetlands and offsets, buffers, all that stuff. So I don't think being a dense project necessarily disqualifies something from being near a water source. But it's a concern that we recognize from residents, and something that we do our best to help flesh out and I guess make more palatable or desirable throughout the planning and ZBA process.
Thank you. Colleen?
So I would say this is really more zoned for the ZBA or the planning board. This really wouldn't be something the select board would be discussing. This is more in the scope of a different committee. But I agree with what Andy was saying, is that there are a lot of rules and restrictions in place to prevent anything from being inappropriately built too close to a wellhead.
All set?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So, next question is actually about zoning. So, we'll turn towards, how do you feel about the MBTA zoning law and its impact on communities? How do you feel about the MBTA zoning law and its impact on communities?
Am I starting with that one?
Yeah, Colleen, you're first on this one. Yes, please.
So I think that was a solution created at the state level to help, again, with the housing crisis, and to help create more pathways for people to use public transportation. And Grafton was a leader by having all of their requirements in at the state. I think we were the first town to complete all the requirements. And what that has done is it's opened us up to opportunities for grants that other communities don't have, which is great, because that's just another way to help bring relief to Grafton, because we were doing what was asked of us. We completed the task, we got the zoning that we need to do, and now we have a pot of money that we have access to, which is great. All set.
All set. Thank you. Andrew?
Okay. So, I think with its MBTA zoning, the state is, as Ms. Roy mentioned, really trying to make an impact on the housing crisis. There are plenty of studies that show that as you increase the housing stock, the overall cost comes down, making them in general more affordable, which is really what we're trying to do. We want people who work in Grafton to be able to live in Grafton. The MBTA zoning overlays are slightly different from your typical like 40B approaches and the affordability. So we handle them a little bit differently, but Grafton was in a fortunate position where we were able to outline and define those zones quickly, and as Ms. Roy mentioned, get them through the state and be the first to do so. We will not be impacted by any of the lawsuits or anything that other towns have put forward in an effort to not comply. The state really put teeth into this one. They can deny us grant funding and all sorts of other stuff. They've really tried to make it in community's best interest to comply, and Grafton got out ahead of that ball, which I think was great. Yes, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. And you'll be our first respondent for the next question, which is on sustainability. Person that wrote it notes, all of the candidates are currently serving on committees, whether town-sponsored or grassroots organized, in parentheses, waste reduction and recycling, community preservation, sustainable Grafton, that have a dimension related to climate change. What is one thing you have accomplished while serving on those committees that have helped Grafton in becoming a more green, climate-friendly town? What is one thing you intend to work on as you remain a member of those specific committees? And this is a lot, so I'm going to read it again. First point, all of the candidates are currently serving on committees, whether town-sponsored or grassroots organized, that have a dimension related to climate change. The exemplars they give are waste reduction and recycling, community preservation, and sustainable Grafton. What is one thing you have accomplished while serving on those committees that that have helped Grafton in becoming a more green, climate-friendly town, what is one thing you intend to work on as you remain a member of those specific communities? And I know that's a lot, so if you want me to repeat some part or all of it, I'm happy to.
I'm okay.
You're okay?
I
All
think I
right.
get it written down.
You're first, Andrew, when you're ready.
Okay. I think it's difficult in general to answer these types of questions because committee work isn't typically driven by one individual. You know, it's a team effort, and you need to have a couple other people that agree with your approach and your idea in order to get anything moving forward. In serving on the Waste Reduction and Recycling Committee, one of the things that I felt I could contribute to, and we had started doing, was outreach on good recycling tips and recycling habits that were being posted through the town's social media. You know, we've had some roadblocks with that committee and haven't met as frequently as we could. It's something that I would like to rectify and get moving again over the next year. I'd really like to continue to focus on a lot of the current efforts that we're doing, you know, kind of future-proofing and getting ready to expand our EV charging installations across town. You know, continuing to pursue Energy Star or LEED type certifications in any of our expansions or the upgrades that we're doing to any of our current municipal buildings. Those would be my primary things that I'd continue to focus on. I think those are the areas where the select board can actually make an impact, you know, directly.
Thank you, Andrew. Colleen.
So with the way that question is worded, I'm the member of the Community Preservation Committee. And the way that committee works is people bring projects to us. So again, as Mr. Jefferson was saying, individual members really wouldn't be advocating for a particular project because projects come to us. And, you know, I've supported all the open space initiatives that have come before during my time on that board. When I was previously on the select board, a member brought forward an environmental sustainability committee they wanted to talk about, and I drafted the first charge for that committee so that the board could have a fruitful discussion. So that was one of the ways that I helped to further along some of these committees. Ultimately, that member stopped bringing it forward, so the board never really took any action on it, but you know, I just think that there are a lot of ideas out there, and I agree with everything Mr. Jefferson said as far as goes to EV, maybe switching some of our fleet over to electric vehicles. I know they're not all there for necessarily police, but you know, for other electric vehicles for staff. And yeah, I just pretty much agree with the initiatives already in place and going down that path.
Okay. Thank you. So Colleen, you'll be the first respondent to our next question, which is in regards to a potential change in the number of members on the select board. Question is, would the select board benefit from going from 5 members to 7 in order to spread out its subcommittee commitments? Would the select board benefit from going from 5 to 7 members in order to spread out its subcommittee commitments?
So I'm probably someone that doesn't have a problem with committee commitments. I go to far more meetings than I care to admit, but I don't see growing from 5 to 7 members as a positive move at this time. Maybe in the future, but right now it's really difficult to even get 5 members rowing in the same direction on critical matters that I can't really imagine how 7 members could function. I know communities when they grew from 3 to 5, that was a growing pain. I just don't see a growth from 5 to 7 is necessary right now, especially for something like committee work, which is not that big of a lift in my personal opinion. But that's because I'm at a meeting pretty much every night of the week because I really enjoy it. So, yeah, that's my answer.
Thank you, Colleen. Andrew.
I don't think any of us would find Ms. Roy's answer surprising there. Not only does she attend Grafton meetings, but she goes regularly to other towns to participate in their local government as well. For me, I don't see a benefit in the select board increasing from 5 to 7 members currently. I could see that in the future, I guess, but more as a a byproduct of population growth and increasing our representation that way. There's a lot of overlap between what all the committees do. Some of them are advisory and reporting up, which is why I think it's so crucial that the select board has representation in all these areas. We do our select board reports every meeting where everybody comes back from their subcommittees and catches everybody up. And as I said, because there's so much overlap in those issues, I think that this scenario keeps things running the most efficiently. Using the budget discussions or the budget season as another example. The select board, there was a week where the select board met on Tuesday, the FinCom met on Wednesday, school committee, was it No, it's TRICOM, then met again on Thursday. In between each of those 3 days, our budget numbers had changed, by a fair amount. So if you're not constantly keeping up with those things and educating yourself, you're that much further behind when it's time to have those productive conversations.
Okay. Thank you, Andrew. And you're going to be our first respondent to our next question, which is about decision making. Being a member of a board requires collaboration and deliberation in order to arrive at decisions. Describe a time you went into a meeting feeling one way about a decision and having your mind changed as a result of deliberation with your colleagues. Being a member of a board requires collaboration and deliberation in order to arrive at decisions. Describe a time you went into a meeting feeling one way about a decision and having your mind changed as a result of deliberation with your colleagues.
I really wish I had a dynamite answer to this. I think, I hope, I guess, that some of the trouble I have in answering this is because I really try not to come in with a concrete, formulated opinion when we go into meetings. It's one of those things where you need to come in educated, and there's generally a way that I may be leaning when I approach a topic. But we all think about these things and attack these problems and issues so differently. There are a lot of times where I come in feeling one way and somebody sways me a different way or another just because, they came in with a very different perspective. So again, I honestly can't think of one particular instance where that happened, but I think it happens a lot more frequently than people realize or may take note of.
Thank you. Colleen.
So I agree with what Mr. Jefferson said. I try to come in with an open mind on most things, but I'm prepared. So I feel like I know which way I want to go, but I'm not closed off to the idea of swaying. But I can give one example, and it's not necessarily one that I was a part of, but it's athletic fees. I really felt like if we're pulling all these levers, we should be pulling this lever. And each time I've seen this presentation, and I saw it in 2020, and I just saw it again this year, it always convinces me that I don't have that right. And I need to stop coming in thinking this is the lever we need to pull. So that's a good one that I can come right off the top of my head and think of.
Thank you. And Colleen, you'll be first up with our next question, which is about tax breaks for growth. Question is, do you think Grafton should give tax breaks to large corporations so that they can do business here? Do you think Grafton should give tax breaks to large corporations so that they can do business here?
So Grafton does that. We have a TIF committee that provides just exactly what you're stating, incentives on their taxes to come and build. So right now there's going to be one for UPS. I can't right off the top of my head think of some other ones, but there's a whole committee that reviews these, and they strategically decide what would be the best agreement to put forward for those projects. So that's something that Grafton's already doing, and I think it's a project by project decision, deciding, how much of a break and which projects would benefit both Grafton and the project to have one. All set.
Thank you. Andrew.
That was a great answer. Yes, I do think there are situations where it is appropriate to enter into these tax incremental financing agreements with larger corporations. Using UPS as an example, yes, the town is sacrificing some of the potential upfront, revenue that we could have in property tax increases, but this is a facility that, will be here long term. They're going to be set up for decades, and there's plenty of opportunity to, keep recouping those costs to a degree. It is a difficult topic because I know the perception that people see when we enter into these types of TIF agreements, and then we're talking about a potential for an override. We don't generally like to leave money on the table, but there, as Ms. Roy discussed earlier, there are certain times where it's not money that's going to make a significant amount of impact in our budget in the interim, but helps set us up for a better long-term goal. And that we don't enter into these things lightly. As mentioned, we do have the TIF committee. They are tasked with vetting each one of these proposals and deciding what they think is appropriate and comfortable for the town to offer.
Thank you.
Thank you for saying what TIF means, because I was struggling in my response, and you said, I was like, yeah, there it is.
All set?
Yes.
Okay. And how are we on time? Okay. So this is a question, and it's going to be, Andrew, you're going to be the first respondent, I believe, on this one. It's regarding representation. Will you represent town residents' concerns or your own personal agenda if elected to the board? Will you represent town resident concerns or your own personal agenda if elected to the board?
So it's an easy start. I don't have a personal agenda. My agenda here is to do what I feel is best for the town of Grafton, and I think that's best accomplished by listening to our residents. I try to be as open and accessible as I can be. I try to, whether that's in person or meeting people where they are on social media, gathering all that feedback. I don't think it benefits us in any way to really come into these things with a personal bias. We all have things that we definitely have things that we're trying to accomplish, and things that we may be more keen on. But that's the responsibility of the role is taking in everybody's feedback, everybody's concerns, considerations, and trying to move the town forward in a way that people generally find acceptable, knowing that you're not going to please everybody every time.
Thank you. Colleen?
I would agree with Mr. Jefferson in that I would want to represent as many people in Grafton as possible, because I want to do what's best for Grafton all the time. I don't really have a personal agenda. The only personal agenda I suppose I really have is 10 years off. I want to have an amazing 300th parade. I'm a big parade person, but that's really the only thing. I just genuinely love the work. I love being part of the conversation, and I love hearing other people's opinions and seeing, social media is a great one. A lot of people are able to express themselves on social media easier than they could come to a podium or draft a letter or however it is that they want to communicate with the board. So yeah, I do my best to represent all of Grafton for what's best for Grafton.
Thank you. We're all set. Okay. Thank you so much for being here and for your responses. As I mentioned, you'll both have an opportunity for a 1-minute closing statement. And Colleen, if you would go first.
Okay.
I'd be grateful.
I want to thank everybody who spent their evening with us tonight and those watching at home or watching later. I'm asking for your vote on May 20th because Grafton can't afford to fumble next year. We all know what's coming, and I have a plan and the experience necessary to help execute that plan. So I humbly ask that you vote for Roy and Jefferson on May 20th.
Set. Okay. Andrew.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I too would like to thank the league for hosting these every year. I think they're incredibly informational and valuable to our residents and everybody who came out tonight to spend their Sunday night listening to us talk. as well as GCTV. Bill in the booth out there, always doing a good job. I would just say if you see me out and about in public, please feel free to stop me, say hi, let's talk. I'm always happy to answer questions, listen to concerns. If you need to get in touch with me, you can reach out via Facebook, facebook.com/Andy4SB. That's the word for, not the number. It really has been my honor to serve and represent this town over the last 3 years. I'm incredibly proud of the work that I am going to say in this situation have been able to accomplish. I'm very appreciative for everybody's ongoing support. And I too am asking you to consider voting Jefferson and Roy on Tuesday, May 20th.
Thank you.
All set? Okay. Thank you both very much. Thank you for being here. Thank you to the other candidates that were able to be here in person or who submitted a written statement. And thanks to everyone who's running for office. The League of Women Voters would like to remind everyone that democracy is not a spectator sport. Please get involved in any way that you can. As a matter of housekeeping, I'd like to let folks know that this program will be shown on local access cable until the election. Town elections here are going to be on Tuesday, May 20th. If anyone prefers a mail-in ballot or absentee ballot, please contact the town clerk's office. The last day to register to vote is Friday, May 2nd. In-person registration is needed because of the close of the registration period. Thank you and have a good evening.